All right, so here's the ORB strategy, or the ORB, the opening range breakout strategy. I mark the first, I go to the 2-minute chart, I mark the first 30-minute high and low. So as you can see where this little sun icon is, that's 9:30 when it opened. At 10, that's the first 30 minutes. So I mark the highest that it's been, which is here, the lowest that it's been, which is here, in the first 30 minutes. I look for it to break and retest like it's doing right now. So I don't just look for it to break upwards off this top line to get in. I look for it to go up, come back down, so break and retest this point, then go back up, which it did. You can see this candle wick went up. It has a candle wick because the candle went up, squeezed back down. It went up, broke this point, retested it. Now it's going back up. So this is my entry to get in. And then as far as where I get out, I look for 2 resistance points above that by scrolling over to the left and looking at previous resistance points. One's right here where you can see it got stuck hard on these candles and bounced back down. The next one's right here where you can see it got stuck hard on these candles and bounced back down. So that's my 2 points to play it to the upside. And then to the downside, I have to scroll over a little bit to find where to play it to the downside because it's been a minute. But I look at this line right here. It's at 468.80, let's just say. So then I scroll over to the left, I scroll over to the left, I scroll over to the left. I gotta scroll for a minute because it's been a minute since it actually broke that point. But when it broke this 468.80 last time, there was a strong support right here. You can see it got stuck here, about here, and bounced back up hard. So that's one place to mark, which I have marked. And then the next one is this V right here, this V where it bounced off of previously and went back up as well. So I have these 2 strong supports marked. So if I scroll back over to the right, basically in a nutshell, you can see that I've got the, I got the highest point that it's been in the first 30 minutes and the lowest point that it's been in the first 30 minutes marked. And then I have 2 places to play it to the upside. If it breaks, retests, and goes up, I can play it to these 2 points to the upside. This one if I don't feel as good about the trade. This one if I feel really good about the trade. And then to the downside, I have 2 points as well. The first one would be the same, the point to play it to if I'm not too confident in the trade. The next one would be the point to play it to if I'm highly confident in the trade. But basically, I'm just going to wait for it to break this range that it's been in the first 30 minutes, break and retest this range either to the upside or the downside. And then when it does, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to play it to the next 1 or 2 resistances up or the next 1 or 2 supports down. And that's the strategy in a nutshell, like as fast as I can explain it. So I'm going to play it like that and see what happens. So just give me a little bit of time and I'll see what happens with this strategy today. But so far it looks like it's going to break and retest to the upside, so I'll be looking to play it to either here or to here. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it. So I'm going to test this strategy again today. So I'm going to do some more back testing on it and we'll see what happens. Alright, so there's the first move outside of that range. It went up, as you can see from this green wick here. This candle went up, came back down, touched this, made it support. So it did a break and retest right here, made this top resistance line support. I would have got in right then, and then it went straight to the next line, which is my next place to get out, my next point of resistance. So I would have got in here about 469.75, let's just round, and I would have got out about here at 470.10. So pretty solid little move from about here at 75 to about here at 10. So like a 35-cent move, enough for like 25 to 30% on a contract, just from here to here, I would say, in the money contract. So that's solid. Plus it's still trying to break and retest this next line. So I might have just stayed in the call and rode it all the way up to the next line. But even so far, this strategy is still working because I would have got in when it broke and retested this line. I would have got in about here and at least rode it to here, and it's already made that move. And then I probably would have stayed in just to see what it's going to do as far as riding into the next line, and it's looking like it's going to do that too. So far this is looking good. And there it goes. So there you go. This is the range of the first 30 minutes. It broke it, retested it, started going back up. I would have played it to the first line and then probably to the second line too. So this strategy is working again today too. So far so good. Okay, so it broke this opening range. It went up, came back down, retested this zone, started bouncing up off of it. So it had a break and retest right here. Bounced up to the next place where I would have got out my first take profit. Went up a pretty good bit after that, as you can see, because the first take profit was 470.10. It went up as high as 470.30-ish, we could call it. So it went up like another 20 cents after that, but it didn't quite make it all the way to the next resistance, which was up here, which as you can see was pretty clear resistance, but didn't quite make it there. Then it started going back down. But what I would have done is one or two things. I would have got in when it did a break and retest right here, and I would have played it to this point and got out. Or if I didn't get out of the first take profit, I would have stayed in, and when it went up here to about halfway, I probably would have pulled. If I didn't pull, right here, as soon as it turned around and came back down and hit this line again that was resistance and made it support, as you can see, this was the resistance line I was going to play to. If it broke past that, didn't quite go to my next line, and I was still in it, and then it fell all the way back down to that line again right here and made that resistance support, that's where I would have got out. So best case scenario, I would have got in right here on the break and retest, rode it to here, to this next line of resistance, so from here to here. Worst case scenario, I would have stayed in a little longer expecting it to go to the next line. It wouldn't have. It would have turned around and went back down to this line that was resistance that it broke through before, would have made it support, and then I would have just got out there. So either way, though, I would have made a profit using this strategy today to the upside. And here's another move off the same lines. So as you can see, like I said, I would have got in when it broke this, came back down, retested, went back up. So on the break and retest to this line, I would have got in, would have rode it to this next resistance, maybe held it longer, but by the time it started turning around and came back down here, I would have got out. And then as you can see, it dropped back down almost to the next support, didn't quite hit it, went back up, had a break and retest. You can tell by the wick on this candle. So this candle shot up, then came back down, and then started going back up. So it did a break and retest of this top line, this top, what was resistance when I would have got in here at this support. This would have been resistance. It did a break and retest of this resistance, turned it into support, and started climbing up perfectly to the next resistance line that I had set. And look how clear that is when you scroll to the left. So it literally also broke this line, this next line of resistance, did a break, retest, turned it into support, climbed right up almost perfectly to the next line. So I would have got in here, like middle of this candle, around 470.15, and rode it up here to like 470.50-ish. So that's like a 40-cent move. So there's like 30 to 40% on a contract right there. And my rule of thumb that I learned from a YouTuber is to pull when I get 5 cents away from my take profit, not let it go to my take profit, because it generally goes within 5 cents, not always to the take profit. So if the take profit was 470.55, I would have definitely pulled at 470.54, because that's only 1 cent from the take profit. So the fact that it didn't actually hit the take profit means nothing to me, because I pull when it's 5 cents from it. So if it was 470.55, I'm looking to pull at 470.50. That's what I've learned. So I would have pulled it here. I would have pulled out here at the latest at 470.50. So I would have made a nice chunk of change just from 470.15 to 470.50. So there's another winning trade that I would have got off the same strategy, off the same lines that I already had drawn up. Would have been another win via the same strategy, same lines. So yeah, this strategy works. There's even more trades off these levels, as you can see. Again, we had a break and retest. You can see by this candle wick right here, it went up, squeezed back down, started coming back up. We had some breaks and retests here, and then it went back up again, basically making an M, going back up to here again. So you could have got in around here when this green candle started tearing off. You could have got in here around 470.20-ish, rode it to like 470.50-ish. Still a 30-cent move there. And then right here, you can see we had a break and a retest downwards. It went up, just broke this. The wick shows that it squeezed back down. Then it got stuck here at resistance, so we had a break, retest, got stuck here at resistance, started squeezing down. Could have got in right here, 470.10-ish. At least took it down to 470, like 90-ish. I don't know. It's like a 20-cent move. So even still, there's something there. So there's definitely moves to be played off of these lines that I drew first thing this morning. These lines that I had drawn in the morning. So this strategy definitely allows for multiple moves, as you can see. Like ever since I marked these levels and watched the breakout, there's been trades, both to the upside, mostly to the upside, 1, 2, 3 trades to the upside, and a couple to the downside. But like 4 or 5 trades just off this strategy, just off these same lines that I had drawn first thing in the morning. So I definitely like this orb strategy, using the first 30 minutes and marking them on the 2-minute chart. This definitely at least helps identify solid moves in my mind. Another beautiful trade that happened off these same lines that I didn't even see. I just checked right here around 1:30. As you can see, it started to come down. This first little candle right here went back up, did a retest right here on this resistance. It was support previously, it turned it into resistance, got stuck here, and then went straight down to the next line. But look how clean of a trade that was. Literally from this line to this line. I mean, it's perfect bounce off resistance right down to support. And that's a big trade from 469.75-ish to 468, almost 75-ish. Almost $1 trade right here on this bounce around 1:30. And that's off the same lines that I set this morning. So like, these lines are critical right here. These are crucial to get a good trade perspective. I really like this strategy a lot. And then as you can see, there was a little bit of activity after that, but not really interested in that. This right here is interesting to me. Big trade that happened off these same lines. So yeah, I'm really digging this strategy.